Will Lowery, each and every week, is going to be presented by R&R Cigars. We talk about a company that was established in 2012. It's the place in Tuscaloosa to go, relax, recharge, whether you're looking to catch up on all the day's action in sports, get up to date on the news, or simply enjoy a conversation over a cigar. This is the place you want to be. We talk about all the great TVs. We talk about the atmosphere there. We talk about the atmosphere and the way that it's set. Very simple, down on 6th Street. Will Lowery's going to tell you more. They're open until 10 a.m., 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., so midnight on Friday and Saturday, and then 12 until 8 on Sundays. Will Lowery, as we open up the conversation, man, I hope you're doing well. Tell us more about R&R Cigars and the atmosphere as we get things started. It's good to talk to you, man.
Hey, Ryan, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be back. And, man, R&R's got a great spot there. They've got over 200 premium adult drinks. They're not just about the cigars. They got over 80 different beers and 120 different premium spirits. So they offer a lot. It's a great spot to relax and catch up on the latest sports news and highlights from the day.
Hey, and you think about those 6 big screen HD televisions on Saturday. I mean, you don't have to just be dedicated to one game, right? I mean, 6 big HD TVs. Sitting there enjoying college football, and are you pacing yourself, Will, or are you, on a Monday? What's the attitude like for you?
I'm really excited, Ryan. It's probably as excited as I've been for a season since my playing days were over. Maybe it's more and more every year. I don't know, but there's something about this year that just has me really amped up to see what we're going to be about on the offensive side of the ball and see how we're going to respond on defense, still in a lot of shoes and a lot of new places. So just a lot of questions to be answered. And, been a lot of speculation about a number of different things throughout the off season, and finally going to put all that to rest and lace it up and go play against some competition, some guys besides ourselves. I know they've been banging heads on each other for a long time now. So it's just time to go, man. It's time to kick off another year, man. I'm ready to roll with it.
So we're gonna be talking to Will Lowery every Monday at 5:30, and we're gonna be recapping. There's a reason why we put Will on a Monday, for he can look back and look at the game from his perspective of winning multiple national titles at the University of Alabama. And each and every week, it's going to be presented by R&R Cigars right there on 6th Street, 2703 6th Street here in Tuscaloosa, 205-722-2741. And we're going to be highlighting a lot of the things that they do there at R&R Cigars as we travel throughout this segment. Will, let's talk about defensive backs, because Nick Saban even talked about it today. That's where we need to put a start at when we talk about this defense. Let me ask you some key things and key things that you're going to be in tuned on early on to make sure this secondary is ready to go on Saturday.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of new guys, a lot of new faces that are going to be getting out there and getting an opportunity. Just really excited to see how they respond to the spotlight. And, these guys, Coach Saban, as well documented, is pretty much a secondary coach. So I can assure you that he's not going to put anybody out there that's not ready to play, that doesn't know the playbook inside and out. A lot of these guys have been around for a few years, should have a good understanding of what we're trying to do on defense. So, communication will be key for these guys that are, it's their first opportunity. It's a whole different ball game from when you're in practice, and, you can be going through reps, and if you make the wrong call, Tosh or Coach Saban can be right there to correct you and yell at you and make you get it right. Whole different ball game when you get out there on the field and there's 100,000 people screaming down at you, and coaches all the way over on the sideline. You can't even hear yourself scream. So just going to be interesting to see how those guys react. But again, coach is just the best in the business at preparing that position group on the field. So I feel really good that we're going to be able to get guys out there and that they'll settle in. Louisville's obviously got some really good guys on the outside at receiver that can make plays, but ultimately throughout the course of the game, I think these guys are going to try and find their groove, settle in a little bit, trust their technique, and make the plays that they need to make to keep us having success on the defensive side of the ball.
So, and this may be a really generic question for those who have played the position, but what kind of communication it can be said out on that field? Like a guy with Trayvon Diggs or Deontay Thompson who's been out there and understands. Shaheem Carter's another guy there. But all these guys working as unit, what can be said in a split second that can correct someone from falling into trouble? What is some of that verbiage like out there?
Well, it's not too much to be said. It's probably more hand motions than anything. Like I'm saying, it's pretty tough to hear yourself especially when you're in a neutral game or at a home game when you're playing on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, because the crowd is really into it when the other offense is on the field. So not too much you can say, but hand motions will be more than anything. Just making sure the guys get lined up right and communicating with the safety on their side and the guys in front of them will be key. And, fortunately, Deontay Thompson had some good experience down the stretch last year. He should be able to provide a lot of help for these guys. And coach is certainly going to put them in the best position to win, too. He's not going to throw, the toughest, most complex stuff in the playbook at them. We're going to be running probably earlier on some of our more base stuff. We'll have some calls that, depending on the formation, will be our go-to calls early on to help these guys settle in and get a little bit more comfortable with the game. But more than anything, it's just looking back and for the guys on the outside at corner, it's looking back at your safety and making sure you're on the same page, knowing that if you've got safety help or if you don't, or if he's coming up blitz and whatever, you got to pick somebody up. Just making sure that you're on the same page in the secondary is more key than anything else, because the worst thing you can have happen is have a bust where, both guys think they're supposed to blitz or something like that, real obvious. It's very obvious when somebody in the secondary makes a bust because usually somebody's running wide open. So, like I say, I expect the coaching staff to give these guys calls, at least in the first series, that they're pretty familiar with. It won't be the most difficult stuff we do. And certainly the first, third down and long of the game and things like that, all that stuff's scripted out for the most part, depending on the down and distance. So, like I say, man, I think that Coach Saban is just such a perfectionist that he makes people worry a little more than they need to about that position group. I mean, he's going to have those guys ready to go. He's been coaching them up for a long time, and I think that they're going to react well.
Let me flip side of that. If you're Bobby Petrino, what do you do to add confusion to an inexperienced group? What do you do? What do you try to go after?
Well, Petrino's an interesting guy, man. Him and Saban make for an interesting matchup, because Coach Saban is obviously very much so a defensive specialist. He absolutely loves the defensive side of the football and the defensive game and the scheme that comes with trying to stop an offensive attack. And Bobby Petrino probably is about his counterbalance, his polar opposite in the coaching world, if you will. This is a guy, Coach Saban gets really fired up playing Bobby Petrino teams because he's kind of the anti-Saban almost, if you will. He's all about the offensive side of the ball. He's all about putting up as many points on the board as he can get. He doesn't really, he doesn't seem to put that much passion in the defensive side of the ball. And, Coach Saban's aware of that. And I think he takes it as I won't say personal, but as a particular challenge, if you will, given their opposite pedigrees and views on the game of football. So he gets nice and fired up whenever we're playing a Petrino team. I know it's like that every time we played Arkansas back in my day when we played them. And Petrino's no slouch either. That's why Coach Saban respects him so much. He's a really good coach of the offensive side of the football, and you can rest assured that he's licking his chops at the fact that he's going to get his first game of the year crack at this quote-unquote inexperienced defense that Coach Saban's putting out there. They're always going to come out with some different stuff. They're going to come out in different formations, different personnels and line up in different areas that we're not used to, that we haven't seen on film yet. It's going to be all new stuff. And, again, with it being the first game of the year, we don't have any tape on this team, this year's Louisville team. Of course, we got years past with Petrino there, but every year, every team is different, and offenses are going to add more wrinkles, more aspects to their attack depending on their personnel. So rest assured, they've got a lot of new stuff, a lot of new formations that they're going to throw at us. Certainly early on, the very first drive of the game, I would expect us to see some things that they've never done before under Petrino. Coach Saban is a master at film study. He's going to study everything that Petrino's done or every play he's ever run. So they're going to try and be ready for everything, but no doubt they're going to see some different stuff. And certainly Petrino's going to try and put us in spots where he's running a lot of pre-snap motion, putting guys in motion before the snap to get our guys thinking, just like you're talking about, that split second, where a guy goes in motion. A lot of different things are happening based off of that motion. So he's going to do anything he can do, get guys running crisscross in the backfield, trying to get us running different directions and try and get us outmanned in certain areas and get his offense in a position where they've got more guys than us so that they can have success. But, it's going to come down to fundamentals at the end of the day. And as long as these guys stay true to their keys and trust each other, and we can make in-game adjustments based on what they're coming out and doing, then I think that we should be able to handle them. It's not the Lamar Jackson explosive offense that we've seen from Louisville in the past.
Think about it. You got a new defensive coordinator. You have a new secondary coach in Carl Scott. I know Nick Saban, he likes to say he's, quote, the grad assistant over there, even though he's really not. But either way, we'll use his verbiage. You've got Craig Kuligowski on the defensive line. You got Pete Golden at the inside backers. Josh LaPoy stays at outside backers, but now increases the coordinator responsibility. 8 new starters on that side of the football, only 3 returning. And let me just kind of put you on the spot. If we're talking in November, do you think this defensive unit can be, quote, quote, a typical Nick Saban-style unit?
Absolutely, I do. We're certainly thin in some areas. We don't have as much depth as you would like as a coach or a coordinator. We definitely got to watch out for injuries. We saw the injury bug hit us last year. We've already had a guy or two go down with serious injuries this year already. So, if we find guys going down as often as they did last year, we could be in a little bit of trouble in some spots. But overall, I tend to gravitate towards the standard that's been set at Alabama and the level of play in general across the board with our defense and our team as a whole. There's a reason that we've been the number 1 recruiting class in the nation however many years of the past decade. It's been blue chip after blue chip that's come in here. Every athlete on the team is a national recruit. Every one of them has stats, all the measurables, everything. They've got it all. And the guys that are getting put on the field are the guys that have been able to learn the playbook, produce, make plays, and take advantage of the opportunities they've been given. So, I think that it's a little bit overblown in terms of the concern for, how good this defense is going to be. Listen, Raekwon Davis, Isaiah Buggs, those guys up front, Christian Miller, Anthony Jennings, when we get guys healthy, Mac Wilson, Dylan Moses. I don't know if we've had a more athletic inside duo than Mac and Dylan. When I was there, you had Dante and Rolando type guys, big bodies that could run, but they can't run like Mac Wilson and Dylan Moses. This is a new age of defense and linebacker, and you got those guys in the middle. Then in the back end, you got Diggs, Savion Smith, Shaheem, Xavier McKinney, Deontay Thompson. We've got some serious athletes across the board. And again, Coach Saban does not put you on the field if you don't know what you're doing and he doesn't have confidence that you can compete. So, I tend to think that it's a little overblown and that Coach Saban is just worried about it from his ultra perfectionist standard. I still expect us to have a really dominant defensive unit this year and one that's only going to get better as the year goes on.
We're talking to Will Lowery. As always, it's presented by R&R Cigars, Tuscaloosa's premium cigar lounge right here in Tuscaloosa. 6th Street, 2703 6th Street here in Tuscaloosa, 205-722-2741. And a great way to connect with all of what they're doing there is connect with them straight up at the Twitter account, at R&R Cigars. When are you talking about the 70-inch HD TVs, home theater seats? Man, that gets you fired up. Obviously, big Alabama supporters here in Tuscaloosa. Will, let me ask you, when we get to the conversation on the offensive side of the football, what are you expecting from the Crimson Tide on that side of the ball?
Well, the first thing that you can expect is that we're going to try and go out and establish the line of scrimmage. And that goes for both sides of the ball. That is the number 1 first step as a unit on either side of the ball, is to establish the line of scrimmage, establish that physicality and that dominance up front, control that line of scrimmage. You don't want to be getting pushed back. And we're certainly going to do that on the offensive side of the ball. As much has been made about the quarterback battle, A, we've got to protect them, and B, we got to run the ball. That's what Alabama's about. That's what we're going to go in there and do, is try and establish the run game. We're not going to go in there and just start throwing the ball all over the place and putting pressure on these guys, whoever's under center. You can rest assured that we're going to try and establish what we're known for, and that's to pound the rock and to be physical and wear down the opponent over the course of the game. So I expect that to be our number 1 priority. But absolutely, depending on who's at quarterback, we could see some different things on offense. I do think it'll be Tua. And they're not going to rush him in. They're not trying to add any more pressure to those guys than is already put on them. Every time, that something is said about this quarterback battle, it's on the front headline of ESPN. It's been a very highly publicized situation. So that's the last thing they're going to do, is ask those guys to go out there and win the game on their arm. They're going to try and help them out every way they can to put them in position to be successful, put them in shorter third down distances, to try and take advantage of the different athletes and quickness that we've got. But we're going to take some shots too. And, I've said time and again that, I think that Tua is a really special talent. I think that's who we're going to see trot out there first. For this first game, I don't know. Are they going to swap series? Are they going to go 2 series with Tua and 1 with Jalen? I don't know. I mean, I personally thought that Tua should be playing before now. So obviously Coach Saban sees things differently. It won't totally shock me if Jalen takes the first snap. But ultimately, I just think that Tua brings so much more to the game. That's who's going to end up being our quarterback. Whether it's week 1 or throughout the course of the year, I just think that he has abilities that totally open up the offensive side of the ball for us. And whether they're planned or not, he has the knack for the explosive play. So, we could see that the very first snap of the game. We could see us be conservative and, try and open it up a little bit later. But regardless, we're going to try some things on offense and see who can make plays when it matters, and not just in the scrimmages and in practice. We're going to take some shots. We're going to try and see which guys can go out there and produce on game day.
Hey, when you were talking about running the football and you said that's what we're known for, and I hate to use this term, but it's the only one I can think of, we are at our best when we go up there and bloody people's nose at the line of scrimmage. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it, but when we line up and I look back at teams that you were part of and they said, you know what, I'm going to run it right here and there's not much you can do about it, to me that's when Alabama's at its best.
100%, and that goes for both sides of the ball. Running the football on offense and also on defense, stopping the run and coming to get the quarterback. In those years, 2008 to 11, when I played, I can remember at the end of ball games, and specifically going back to Bobby Petrino teams in Arkansas. I can remember at the end of the games, the other team, you could look in their eyes and see that they were beat. It wasn't just a score line. It wasn't just we got beat on this play. It was a total domination from a physical standpoint. I mean, half the time the starting quarterback didn't even end the game. I know Ryan Mallett came out of the game the first year we played them, and I think it was Brandon Allen, I guess, the next year. I mean, those guys left. I mean, almost every game the quarterbacks are leaving the game just total, grass stains all over them, just limping around, just kind of, we broke people mentally, and that starts at the line of scrimmage and being physical at the point of attack. So, again, just like you say, that's what Alabama's been about, and that's what we're going to be about, no matter how much the game kind of transitions to an offensive finesse passing style. At the end of the day, when Alabama's successful, just like you say, it's about hitting people in the mouth and beating them from a mental standpoint and dominating the guy across from you for 60 minutes. It's not we threw a couple explosive plays and squeaked the game out. It's a physical wear and tear of you can't match our intensity and our physicality for 60 minutes. So, absolutely. I expect us to come out and kind of remind people of that right out of the gate this first game.
There is nothing like that when we talk about Alabama Crimson Tide football, and I'll leave it with this. I'm going to throw it back to you, but I remember Zach Mettenberger crawling off that field inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, and to me that's just the ultimate reflection of Alabama's nasty defense, just grabbing everything he can, crawling off the field because he looked at his offensive line. At times, you guys made their blank quit, I guess is the way you say it, under Nick Saban. R&R Cigars, when we talk about a great place to relax and recharge, big screen televisions, a nice theater room as well. But tell us more about R&R Cigars there, as this segment has absolutely flown by right there on 6th Street, R&R Cigars. Tell us more, Will.
Yeah, they're not just about the cigars. They have a ton of premium adult drinks. And you can come in there and relax, have all the different kinds of beer, all different kinds of spirits, and it's just a great spot to relax and catch up on some sporting news and watch some games. It's football season again, man. We got games pretty much every night of the week except for Tuesday and Wednesday a lot of times. So, it's a great spot to go relax and catch up on some football and hang out with some good folks and enjoy your time.
Sure, certainly. And as we approach this final month of Major League Baseball, they've got that. They got the NFL games, college football, almost every day starting on Thursday as we lead into the big game. Follow those guys, R&R Cigars, on the Twitter account. They were established here in 2012 with a very unique approach. R&R Cigars, Tuscaloosa cigar shop here in downtown Tuscaloosa, proudly presenting multiple national champ, Will Lowery. Will, as always, man, this is a fast 18 minutes. I appreciate you, man. Great breakdown. Next Monday, we'll be recapping a football game, and I appreciate you for being a part of the show.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to the season, Ryan. Thanks, man.